reizen door Nederland. Dat heb ik nou van mijn vader geleerd tijdens de lockdown.
This was a fun watch. I think that we're far enough removed from those early pandemic days that we can kind of reminisce a little bit about that very first lockdown. I know for me, I look back on it as a really nice time where the world was slower and quieter, and we spent a lot of time together as a family. So I like that it reminded me of that, while also very accurately depicting a lot of the struggles and the fears that we had with dealing with the unknown and the struggles of online learning and working from home and not being able to go anywhere. So I appreciated that. And there were a lot of really funny moments too that I enjoyed. That flash forward was very hopeful. It makes me think that one day we'll get out of this pandemic and all of this will be a distant memory. Here's hoping. But overall, I really enjoyed this one. I thought they did a great job with it.
The World to My Daughter was dope. It was heartfelt. It had the same like the more feels in a Pixar movie type beat. Um, it had it was heartwarming and it made me feel good feels. It made me feel good feels. So I really liked it. I really liked it. And like it had me thinking about my own father and like that whole like I identify with the characters in here through my experiences with my own father type thing, and so I think that was really nice. Overall, really well done. I also really thought it was funny. President Beyonce USA. I just thought that was funny, and I wanted to shout that out. That's a funny gag. That was a good gag. Good choice. Um, yeah. So good job.
I thought that The World to My Daughter was a beautiful example of what quarantine looked like for many families during the pandemic, and how in this case each parent had to take on a different responsibility to respond to the crisis. And it was the father's responsibility to build this bubble that so many of us had to build in order to keep our family safe, and for him to continue to give his daughter the access that she needed to education. I think that what was touching about this film was also watching him have to try and explain to her what was going on in the world and how that might affect her life going forward, and to both help her understand the gravity of the situation, but also to reassure her at the same time.
I thought this was a really sweet piece, certainly relatable and topical. And there's so many stories like this, and it's easy to dismiss them, but it's more challenging and done here well to really find those moments and the drama in the everyday, as we've all lived through, the last 2 years. They did a great job at highlighting that the relationship, and relationships are always key, is really just the centerpiece to this film, and it's presented really well here in just such a compelling way, and again in a relatable way. Just makes the whole film just beautiful and worth checking out.
The World to My Daughter is, I think, a film that a lot of parents will relate to. A lot of parents had to adjust their lives in such a dramatic way during lockdown and just COVID in general. And in particular, how do we protect our children from seeing the reality of the world and keeping them away from that scary doomsday talk and keeping the news off and everything like that, while also telling them the information that they need to know and having them understand why their days look different, why they're not in school seeing their classmates anymore, why everything has to be through a computer. It's a really tricky challenge that I think everyone is trying to, or has been trying to navigate. And I don't know that there's a right way to do it, but we see this dad who has kind of been thrown into the single parent role because his wife is working at the hospital overtime. So he's just like totally out of his element, and we get to see these beautiful moments of bonding between father and daughter, and I think he did a really great job. So I love this film. I thought it was very sweet.
It is the story, and a touching one, of a father and his daughter spending time together because of the COVID epidemic, which sends the mother to the hospital. The child cannot attend school, at least not in person. And it is the story, a reminiscence of what she learns and what he's trying to teach. And it's interesting because it's not that long ago. I really have to wrap my head around the fact that the COVID lockdown is now part of history.
This review is for the world to my daughter. This is lovely. They show us a cute connection and the effort to make sense of a world that has changed for most people, but it has impacted the most to children. It's just this connection between father and daughter, and then they give us an adorable futuristic exercise with views from beautiful Amsterdam and some imagination of how things might be in a few decades. And it was very refreshing. It was cute, and I love that interaction between the father and the daughter. It was just adorable. Yeah, it was great performances.